So anybody who knows me, you're probably thinking to yourself, how can we possibly be on time? Because if 10 words is good, clearly 100 must be better. So, but I'm not gonna guess behind, I promise. I have had the pleasure of knowing our next speaker for 10 years, something like that. And one of the earliest interactions that I had with Pam Webster from Enterprise Holdings, she was talking with me about the number of people that they interview and how many applications they get. And I'm not going to steal her thunder, but I pretty much had I soiled my armor when I heard what they go through each year. It's absolutely phenomenal. Anybody who's actually been out on college campuses, who's gone to any kind of a college event, virtually or in person, these folks are there. They touch practically every college student in the U.S. and now also abroad, and a really phenomenal reputation on campus with career services, with the professors. They just do everything right. So Pam is going to be here to talk. Basically, anybody who's recruiting 10, 20, 200, 2,000 students a year, she's going to put you to shame. Pam, you are up.
Thank you, Stephen. Hi, everyone. Is this the clicker? Well, first of all, it's great to be here. I spent 20 years in Southern California, and I now live in the Midwest in St. Louis, Missouri. So I call it misery, not every day, but sometimes it is. You're gonna hear a theme, I think, along the way as I talk about what we do at Enterprise, and it's the fact that we're a little bit different. So, and we do things different than many of the companies and the speakers that represent the companies today talked about in how we approach and hire the talent that we do to support our organization. And even myself and my history, I think, with Enterprise is a little bit different than some of you in this room. Just a quick poll. How many of you have been with your company, your current company, for 10 years? 15 years? 20 years? 25 years? 28 years. So I'm a little bit different than most people in my role with the company. I started in our entry-level management training program, just like the majority of the people in leadership roles across the company, and worked my way into management before moving into talent acquisition and recruiting roles, and moved to St. Louis to work with on company-wide recruiting about 8 years ago. So just to put things in perspective, when I talk about the number of hires that we have every year on the college campuses, and talk about how our talent acquisition team does it, it's not just about campus hires. Our recruiters do a little bit of everything, but I want to give you a perspective of the size and volume of the company. Enterprise Holdings is we started in 1957. Our founder is a former naval aviator, served time on the USS Enterprise, which is where the name comes from. And he came back after World War II and started a rental car company with 7 branches and a Cadillac dealership in St. Louis. We now have 74,000 employees. We have a fleet of 1.3 million vehicles, which makes us the largest fleet in the world. We have operations throughout the United States, North America, all of North America, Europe, in the UK, Germany, Scotland, Ireland, France, and Spain. And we now have licensees and franchise agreements in about 40 countries throughout the world. Our talent acquisition team is not involved in hiring for the franchisees and licensees. However, we are sharing best practices and meetings like this to really talk about how we do it. So supporting them in just a little bit different way. In 2007, the Taylor family, were privately held still, purchased National and Alamo. And that really changed the way we recruit and what our recruiters' responsibility was. Prior to 2007, they really focused on the management training program. But today, their job is very, very different. In 2012, we actually expanded our presence in Europe by purchasing 2 additional companies the Cider and Atessa brands, which have now merged into the enterprise umbrella. And then we made an investment in a company in China for the first time. So we actually got involved with Ehai Car Services, coincidentally just has the same initials as Enterprise Holdings, Inc. So when I talk about our talent statistics at Enterprise, the numbers are big. And sometimes when I think about them, it makes me wonder how we do it. And I wake up sometimes thinking, how are we going to do it again this year? Last year, we hired 7,440 folks into our talent or into the management training program. And these are college grads, not necessarily directly off the campus. A lot of what we do on campus is helping to brand the organization so that when candidates maybe meet an employee that works for Enterprise or they see a job posting on a job board, they think about our presence on campus. We also hire last year was 1,600 management trainee interns, so it really mirrors the full-time position, and we see that internship program as a pipeline into our management training program. And then additionally, we will have anywhere from 8,500 to 9,000 or more internal moves and promotions. 99% of our employees are in key leadership roles, have started within the management training program, and we promote from within. Our CEO, our COO, even the granddaughters of our founder have started in the management training program. They didn't get the jobs they have today just because of who they are. And if you look at all external hires, external, full-time, part-time, the management trainee program, and our internship program, and the internal moves, in a given year, we'll have approximately 30,000 annually who are either new to the job or new to the company. So it's a big talent of, people changing jobs within the organization that have to be trained and developed and building on those skills to provide leadership for the organization. So I talked about the management training program. Like I said, I started in the training program. I was a child protege. I started when I was 12 in Southern California. And worked my way into management. So I worked my way up to the branch manager position. But the typical career path is to continue up that ladder in operations. Again, we're a little bit different with the fact that once you get into management with Enterprise, you're actually paid off the profits of your operations. So if you're a manager, the more business you bring in, the more profitable you are, the better you hire and train and develop your employees, the better your business is. You get promoted to the next level to manage more vehicles, a bigger fleet, more employees, or you move into an area manager role, continuing up to a general manager where you're managing not only Enterprise, but National and Alamo and our fleet management, our car sales, our truck division, and other parts of our business. But once you become a branch manager, that kind of opens the door to other opportunities within the company. And sometimes it's a tap on the shoulder where your manager might come and say, I've got this opening. I think your skill set and your talent would be better suited for the organization here. Or you raise your hand and say, you know what, I'm interested in fleet management and being an account executive. I think that's my forte. So the branch manager role opens the door to other opportunities within the company. We tell our employees you can actually change careers without changing companies. And we do have a lot of employees that will just kind of go back and forth between the brands or within the different divisions. So to put those 7,440 people, management trainees that we hired last year and the 1,600 interns, I thought I'd give you, you see a funnel. There was a little bit of a funnel theme here. Everything that the others talked about, making sure you know your numbers and that what it takes on the top end to get to the number of hires that you have, you've got to know those numbers. Metrics are important, and you've got to have the tools in order to measure that. So last year, we had 1.7 million unique visitors to our career sites. We had almost 700,000 applications. We had 258,000 of those were for the management training program. Between our recruiting team and our hiring managers, we had almost just over 86,000 interviews, and those are face-to-face interviews, to get to that 7,440. So it's definitely a daunting task, and we have good processes in place. But I'll share with you a little bit of kind of our process and some of the things and how we're structured to help support those kind of numbers. So again, here's a little bit of where we're different. Corporate Talent Acquisition Department, of which I'm a part of, there are 3.5 of us. And our responsibility is to support the field and making sure that they have everything that they need to do their job, which is hiring the talent. And we start with everything from managing national partnerships with student organizations, so being that kind of the national brand or presence with student organizations like the American Marketing Association, Pi Sigma Epsilon, a national sales fraternity, Students in Free Enterprise, which is now Enactus. And then working with both the national organization that a few of my colleagues mentioned, the National Association of Colleges and Employers, doing a lot of volunteer positions. My counterpart, Maria Artem, our VP of Talent Acquisition, is just coming off of a very long stint on the board at NACE, but she was our former president, and will turn over the reins as past president in July. I've been involved in a variety of different committee chair roles. Currently, I'm chairing our the NACE Diversity Inclusion Committee. We're also responsible for managing a media plan, and really, our talent acquisition team has their own budget. We're very decentralized. As a company, we have operating structures that are almost like subsidiaries of enterprise. So whether it be the Northern California operating group or Southern California or the St. Louis operating group, New York. So major markets, sometimes our groups cover land masses in multiple states, but each operating group is its own profit center, its own entity, and the recruiters are in the field reporting either to an HR manager or into a general manager or a regional vice president. And they are it's the grassroots efforts of their recruiting and their role to bring that talent to the table. The National Media Plan, again, is just to help drive targeted talent to our career site to help them in their efforts. And then we use our recruitment marketing, our website, the technology, our applicant tracking system to help make the process easier and to handle that volume of applications and candidates that are going through the process. And then a big part of our role at the corporate office is also to help support and train and develop the recruiters out in the field. And that is a challenge sometimes in itself. And I'd say the difference between our recruiters and many of the campus programs that you may have is we don't have dedicated campus recruiters. Our recruiters are full cycle recruiters responsible for hiring all positions, hourly, part-time, full-time, seasonal, internal, and they manage the internal process. And then, of course, the talent pipeline for our leadership roles, the management training and internship program. So they do a little bit of everything. And they're responsible for all sourcing. So it's not just campus recruiting, but it's managing our employee referral program, manning their social sourcing strategies at a local level, because they're the ones that have to answer to the management if they're not getting the numbers and the hires at a good ROI. And really, they manage at a local level. We just try to support that from a national level. So our campus approach, again, is a little bit different, but similar to Glenn's philosophy, we think there is good talent on every campus. And we can't be on every campus. What was the number? It was over 3,000, 3,700 or something like that. But we do step foot on about 800 to 1,000 campuses every single year. To recruit for the management training and the internship program. Again, we're very decentralized. We have about 200 recruiters out in the field, and that's throughout North America and our European operations. And it's really local market driven. They determine what schools they go to in their geographic territory and how much time they spend on each of those campuses. And it is going to vary, but it's using metrics like Doug talked about, understanding where's the talent that we currently have in our organization, where did they come from, what's the ROI, how much time can I spend on that campus based on where it is geographically within that territory, And our recruiters also are recruiting for the company. So they're the person that's going to facilitate somebody that goes to San Francisco State but is moving to New York, and making sure that they connect those candidates with the right recruiter across the company. And it's a very high-touch approach. And again, each campus is going to be a little bit different. In some campuses, and we're going to tier schools probably at a local level within each operating group. But they determine that. We don't drive that at a corporate level. And we really get involved in all aspects of the campus. So the Career Center certainly is the core, working with the Career Center director, doing on-campus interviews and career fairs, but also helping the Career Center. I mean, many of the schools have budget cuts, and they want somebody from the outside, an employer, to come in and help them with recruiting, various workshops, so interviewing skills, mock interviews, resume writing. So we'll volunteer to do that because we know it's a chance for us to get in front of some students, and then hopefully tell our story about enterprise, and then meet students that we may never have met before. We also work a lot with the professors. Again, it's business professors, but sometimes it's communication professors. If there's a retailing program, we try to work with those professors. But what we do is try to sit down with them at the beginning of the year or even the summer before and look at their curriculum. What are you going to be teaching this next year in the classroom? Is there something that we can do to help support what you're teaching in the classroom? And we see that, again, not as an opportunity to go in and advertise and talk about the enterprise management training program, but to provide some value to the students, give them an outside perspective. And then hopefully they'll meet our folks, our recruiters, our management team that comes in to help with those presentations. And then it will give us, or we'll earn the right to talk about our program and tell our story. Student organizations, I mentioned some of the big ones. Sometimes it's small campus organizations. And then the athletic department. We do a lot with student athletes. We see some transferable skills that are a good fit for our organization, our culture. And but again, all of those touch points are going to vary from school to school based on what works in each market. I think all of the companies in this room are all a little bit different as well, and what may work for one company may not work for you. I think if you can take little nuggets from all of the speakers today and take something back and try something new, I tell my recruiters, just because it didn't work before doesn't mean it's not going to work for you today. It's all about execution. So maybe it wasn't executed to the best. When they tried it before a couple of years ago. So, really take a look at your campuses, and are there areas that I can get to talent that maybe your competitors aren't tapping into? And it's not just the recruiters, it's definitely a team environment. We utilize our alumni to come back and help with recruiting events, and that includes even tweeting about our presence on campus, getting their friends to come and meet us at the career fairs, using our interns as ambassadors on campus. We actually even pay former interns that maybe don't work during the school year. If they completed the summer internship, we're going to pay them our employee referral program or employee referral fee if they refer somebody to Enterprise, even though they're no longer employed with us. And then the management team, as I mentioned, our recruiters and you saw the number of interviews. We have typically a 3-interview process, and that's for all of our management trainee and intern program hires. Managers, hiring managers at all levels are involved in that campus recruiting as well, and definitely the interview process. So as I mentioned, the strong and mighty team of 3.5 of us at corporate, our responsibility is to help the talent acquisition team do their job. And we do it in a variety of ways, but it really starts with getting our talent acquisition team off the right foot when they start in their new role. And most of our talent acquisition team have started or have come from either branch manager or area manager positions. So they've had success in the business, they understand what it takes to be successful in the business, and they saw an opportunity based on their skill set or their interest in moving into a new role. It wasn't a default because they weren't performing. But we start off with the talent acquisition orientation. We have 3 days of intensive training on systems and forecasting to sourcing strategies and employment law and all the things that you have to know as a recruiter. And certainly 3 days is not enough time to teach them everything. So then we do a lot of webinars. So throughout the year, we'll do webinars when you have 200 recruiters all over the globe. It's sometimes tough. So we have multiple presentations and webinars, sharing best practices, or if we have a new program or partnership rolling out, we'll share that with them over webinars. We also try to build templates and tools so that our recruiters don't have to recreate the wheel. We also have a presentation library. So when that professor calls and says, hey, I want you to talk about how you measure and manage customer service, and we can bring that into the classroom, they have a presentation, then go to our intranet, take it off the shelf. It's got speaker notes and everything they need. We update them every year. So their information's current, and they don't have to think about it. They can just focus on recruiting the talent that we need. And then we also have a biennial HR conferences, and we have very talent acquisition specific presentations. So, for example, we're building our military strategy right now, and I'm the lead on that effort. So we'll have a presentation that talks about how you go out and recruit military, and especially in the campus recruiting arena, because it is very different, and giving them, again, the tools and the resources so that they can be successful. And then I think Marie and I, we split the company in half from a field support perspective. So I cover most of the U.S. except for the West Coast and the Southeast. And if a group wants me to come out and visit, I act as a consultant. They pay my travel, but other than that, I go out to really look at their strategy, look at their processes. Are there things that they could do better or different? What are the challenges that they have in recruiting the right talent? And really share best practices from other operating groups, and take back best practices that I can share with the rest of the organization. And we go out and spend 3 or 4 days, depending on the group and the size of the group. And I think it helps us too from a corporate perspective, since I've been out of truly recruiting for a number of years, that we're not living in a bubble at corporate, not knowing really what's happening in the field and what the challenges are. So it seems to work for us. And we've, I think one other thing, we talked about customer care and the importance of candidate care or the candidate experience. At Enterprise, obviously, customer care is very important because we want everybody to keep running from Enterprise. And from those of you who are customers, thank you. But it's the same for the candidate experience, because even if we can't hire them, and you saw the numbers, 700,000 applications to 250,000 applications, down to 7,400 hires. That's a lot of people that got rejected. And we want to make sure at least they have a good experience. They don't go into the black hole at Enterprise. There's an expectation with our recruiters to touch every application, to review it, to communicate with the candidate one way or the other if they don't meet minimum qualifications, to tell them why and what that qualification was. If they just didn't make it through the interview process, again, opening the conversation if they reach out to us and telling them why they didn't make they weren't qualified or why we didn't choose them. And I think we have transparency in our recruiting process. On our career site, we actually have every recruiter and their phone number and email on the website. So candidates can go and look for a recruiter to reach out to if they have questions. And I think most recruiters, and probably some of you are going, are you crazy? And sometimes our recruiters say that too, but really we don't get inundated with a crazy number of calls, but we see it as an opportunity, one, to talk to candidates that maybe were on the fence, that didn't really understand the program, that just had some questions about what it really means to be in the management training program. And then it also gives us an opportunity to kind of consult and have a conversation with those candidates who aren't sure where they fit in, and looking at their experience, pointing them in the right direction to either support roles or the management training program. So it seems to work for us. And we've received a lot of recognition for our college recruiting efforts and the things that we've been doing, and certainly we wouldn't be able to do it without our recruiting team. So if anybody from Enterprise is live streaming, thanks for all that you do for Enterprise. Certainly our college, our recruiters are the most important asset for bringing in that top talent. And with that, I will close. Thank you.
That's great. We have time for a few questions before we do the wrap up for the boot camp part. Here's a woman back here. I think we have almost as many questions as you had applicants last year.
So thank you very much for that. One quick question. You said you had the first round, second round, third rounds. Mm-hmm. Do you do third rounds for interns as well?
Yes. We see the internship as, again, the pipeline for the management training program. So we want to put them through the same process and evaluate them in the same way we do our management trainee candidates.
So as you're working, since your recruiters are doing full cycle on all applicant types, what, if anything, are you doing differently for NCGs?
I think for new college grads, it's much more hands-on and that high-touch approach. So on the campuses, really spending a lot of time on campus, knowing the professors, knowing the career centers, making sure that we educate them about what our opportunity is, because the career center can't help you find the right talent if they don't understand your job and the position. Sometimes we'll bring campus, either professors or the career centers to our organization. We try to get them involved sometimes in our internship program. At the end of the year, we do presentations, and our interns have an opportunity to win a scholarship. So we'll bring in the Career Center and professors to actually be part of that judging process of who's going to win the scholarships. And it gets them to understand that we have a real program. It's not just renting cars. It's coming in to learn how to run a business.
You mentioned something about an employee referral fee.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you can just give a brief description as to whether, timelines as far as when you pay it, how much it is, and also who's paying it.
Okay, so we have two sides to our employee referral program. One is the company-wide program, so what we call a group-to-group referral. So if I refer an employee from St. Louis to the Northern California operating group, it's $500, and that's $500 to the referring employee. The hiring group pays the $500. Our recruiters actually get a little bonus too for managing the company-wide employee referral program and promoting that to their employees. And then within each operating group, they really determine what their employee referral program is. So I'd say it probably ranges between $1,000 to $1,500 for any full-time position. And part-time positions, we have a lot of hourly positions, from drivers and service agents who wash the cars to bus drivers and greeters. So it may vary from group to group, anywhere from $250 to $500. But really, it's whoever hires the candidate pays the fee.
Well, thank you. And also thank you for the free upgrade at the SFO
You're very
airport
welcome.
this week.
Thank you.
I actually kind of felt like, wow, we got upgraded. I wonder what we're going to get. And it was nice. But then as we were driving out, we heard one of the other Enterprise people say, it's like, and you got a free upgrade to the people behind us. And you got a free upgrade. So all of a sudden I thought, okay, we're really not very special.